Hey everybody, welcome back to the next module. This module is specifically going to teach you today about what you do and what you say, and then really the transcript of going into that conversation with the potential seller. Now, to review, you've learned what it looks like to go from A to Z on the overall transaction. 2, you've also learned that you need to do your homework before you go in there, learning the website, the history of the company, that way you're prepared. So when you sit down and have this conversation, you are set up for success. Now, where does this conversation take place? It could be really anywhere. It could be at the business, which is obviously what we prefer, so we could see everything that's included in what we're doing. But it also could be at a coffee shop, because a lot of potential sellers do not want you to be in their business because simply for a few reasons. 1, they don't want to let everybody know they're selling, or 2, they're not necessarily comfortable with you quite yet. So it's really, really important that you're okay with this and you're open to meeting and being able to really discuss at any location. Now, you've opened the door, you've given the handshake, right? You've even maybe taken a quick tour of the actual business. Now it's time to really sit down and take your buyer through the seller through the process of being able to really understand what it's like to sell the business with you. Now, at the Legacy Broker Academy, we use a method called the GROW method. The GROW method breaks down into these components: setting the goal for the meeting. What is the reality of the current situation? What options do we have currently? And finally, what's next? The stepping stones to continue to push this down the road. All right, so we're going to go through that here in full detail to get you ready and get you prepared and walk you through the GROW method to be able to really secure that trust and secure that purchase agreement. So let's first talk about creating the goal. When you first get in there, the idea is to really first start establishing rapport, right? You really want to understand, what is the goal of this meeting? What are you trying to achieve? And it's not necessarily what you are trying to achieve, that's what they're trying to achieve. The GROW method works if you're sitting in their shoes, not your shoes, okay? So you really simply talk by starting off with getting to know them. Well, hey, thanks for inviting me into your business. I really appreciate it. Wow, this is a beautiful place. Or I did some research and man, your website is phenomenal. I can imagine how it drives a lot of traffic, right? You're really trying to establish the rapport. And I'd like to get to know more about you specifically. So tell me about your business. Tell me before we talk about why you even got to selling. I'd love to learn more about the history, and you go into that, okay? Now, as you establish that rapport, this is where you really start edging towards the goal portion of it. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what is the goal? What do you have? You know, I know everybody wants to sell their business, but what's truly your goal? Is it to maybe close this chapter and move to a different place, a warmer place, right? Where you can retire by the beach? Or is it, you just want to get out of it, and the faster the better? But what is the goal of this conversation, essentially in your situation as well, okay? The next step is really the R, and that's understanding and discovery phase of what is the reality of the situation. This is where you maybe say, you know what, let's take a quick time out. I'd love to see about your business if you're there. Or you tell me, so what's the current situation stand? What are some great opportunities you have with the business? What are things, if you were to start over 10 years ago, what would you do differently today? The famous question is, if you were to tell your younger self when you took this business over, what hit would you give them to succeed today? Right? This is really, what is the reality, and how you react is extremely crucial. Wow, that was amazing, or good stuff. That makes sense. I can understand why you want to sell, or I can understand why you're ready to move on to the next chapter, okay? The reality is really setting the tone, and here you want to kind of curve their mindset into, again, relaying back to why they should sell. There's some sort of reason or reality that's triggering them to want to sell that business, okay? This is where you let them tell the story and then go right back and circle back to, again, trying to sell the business, okay? So that's really the discovery stage. Number 3 is, now that they've talked about the business, now it's your turn. And this is where it talks about the options, right? This is where they want to know really what's behind the curtain on your side, okay? The options could be a lot of different things specifically, but we're going to first start with your side of the table. This is where, as Travis previously showed you, you really look at the actual presentation that will help walk through who you are as a brokerage, or what you're doing specifically, what your niche is, what you're focused on. Some examples could be, hey, who am I? Hi, my name is Corey. My business brokerage focuses specifically on small businesses just like yours that are really in the service business. We like to stay under that $1 to $2 million price range so we can really nail down our buyer persona. We also only sell things that are in our backyard that are currently local because I want to be involved in your business and know what it is because I know it's important for it to be set up for success. Okay, so you're going through who you are as a firm. And you're going through the options of what's going to happen and take place in the next step, okay? Now, this is also a part where we'll go over a little bit later in more detail. You discuss the actual the listing agreement. In the listing agreement, it will actually take you through, and you can get that information again at the Legacy Broker Academy. That information will go right through what you need to do and discuss, and it will put you on a pathway to understand and helping the buyer know what's next, okay? Again, the goal is for options, going over all the different aspects of what it takes to sell the business. Know your stuff here. Make sure you understand everything that you're talking about and what you're agreeing to. And I can tell you, for example, if it's a business that needs marketing, you need to make sure that you can provide the marketing. And if you can, that's fantastic because a lot of brokers cannot, and that could be your niche. I would display it as something like this. You'll see here at our brokerage firm, we invest upfront in you, meaning we spend on average $2,000 to $3,000 in photography and video capturing and listing your business on the marketplace to be able to where you don't have to upfront that money. That could be one value proposition. The next value proposition could be something of, hey, we don't charge anything up front, just in general. All of our commissions on the back end, because we want the proof in the pudding here. We want to make sure we sell the business before we collect any fees. So that could also be a value proposition. But this is, again, in the O section where you discuss the options, okay? So secure that listing here, right? This is where you really start to peel the Band-Aid a little bit, talk about the reality of sell the business, because you've already established the trust, okay? Now, closing the next meeting, which is really going to be the W part, which again stands for what's next. That's what they want to know. What is the next steps, all right? It is very rare, it happens, but it's very rare you close the actual listing agreement right then and there. They usually want to go home and talk about it. They usually want to, again, mention it to their spouse. In many different instances, they want to come back and ask questions. Maybe this is kind of more of a feeler appointment for them. Regardless, your job is to get the next appointment, okay? And let them know that you're excited about the opportunity to partner with them. And this is a key point of the meeting. This is where you close it. And I don't mean close the listing agreement, close the trust. So if you can do that, you will be able to really continue that next process and get things going. All right, so this confirms the grow. If you were able to successfully capture the grow and keep that in the back of your mind, write grow on a piece of paper, whatever you need to do, you will be able to set yourself up for the next step, which is follow-up. All right, the next course and module will be on follow-up, and we'll get into full detail on how you're successful in that. We'll see you on the next one.